But just a quick life update. I think that overall I've been in a much, like, overall a happy place, even though the world is just like, I'm sure that you guys are aware of like monkeypox, which is like crazy. And then I'm sure that you guys are aware of, like, obviously COVID is still around. So that's something to be cautious of as well, even though nobody really talks about it. And then there's something else. I don't really want to mispronounce the name. I don't remember the name of it. This just popped up like a few days ago too. So every day is always something. Obviously, people are still living their lives, which scared the heck out of me. With monkeypox, you can actually not, thankfully it's not deadly, but it does spread fairly easily. We know that it's spread through intercourse and being in close proximity to people. We know that they said a lot of things. I'm really not going to get into it. Definitely educate yourself if you aren't aware of like what's going on with the whole monkeypox thing. The point is that it's scary, and I was already still trying to get over COVID. Not that I had COVID, but get over like the fear of COVID and like being okay with like going outside a little bit more. And I'm not saying I've been cooped up. I go to places here and there, but as far as like consistently being outside, I just was not with that. Yeah, and it's just been really, I know that there was a few videos that went viral of a few people just telling their experience about monkeypox, and it just looks crazy. One, I already have eczema. The last thing I need is something else. It looks crazy, and then they said that it hurts. Apparently, like the things that they get on their face, they're like sores. I know that sores are supposed to be like, they're painful. And so aside from that, just overall, when it comes to like my state of mind, I feel like I'm at a much more peaceful place in my life, which I really do appreciate. I realized that over the last few months, I've been a lot like happier. When things go wrong, I'm dealing with them not as if the world is coming to an end, and that's amazing, because I think that comes from a state of, you feel like everything around you is going so bad, and it's just like one more thing on top of it, just kind of trying to tackle things as they come. The truth is, nobody's life is perfect, right? We should have come to this reality already. Nobody in this life, nobody has a perfect life, is basically what I'm trying to say. So when something happens, you just try and get through it, try and look at the positives. Sometimes you don't always want to hear that I'm top 5, you know. I don't always want to see if I feel like my world is crumbling, the last thing you want to do is talk about what's going good, because it just doesn't really seem that positive at the time, but it's definitely helpful to do that. So yeah, I just feel like I've been handling things a lot better, and just looking at things from different perspectives, and just trying to be as logical about things. One thing that I'm trying to teach myself too is to not be as emotional. I've always been kind of logical anyway, but I feel like the older I got, because I've been at a stage where I've been trying to feel my emotions a little bit more, it got to the point where when certain things happen, I was acting off of those emotions. And that's the last thing that you want. Like if you're sad, I think it's best to, I seen a post about this today, it's best to feel your way through it. It's easy to be like, oh, let me do this to kind of get your mind off of things and stuff like that. But sometimes you have to just allow yourself to feel those feelings, be in that moment, give yourself some time to heal, and then give yourself some time to feel that, and then figure out a way to move forward. What is the solution to this? How can I feel better? How can I fix whatever, you know, if it's fixable or whatever the case may be. Or sometimes it's just like realizing that everything happens for a reason, and it's okay for you to just be like, okay, that happened, and now we're moving forward. The only thing that I would suggest, well, not the only thing, but one thing that I would suggest is to definitely try and learn from everything, and figure out how to be better next time, period. So yeah. Another thing that I wanted to get on here and talk about, a lot of people are speaking about the whole Keyshawn situation. Now, I just found out a few days ago, if you aren't aware, Keyshawn is a girl that signed up for this rapper. I think he's a rapper. This rapper, Blueface's, his TV, okay, it wasn't on TV, some show he had. And she ended up falling in love with him. They were in a relationship, and she basically just started acting really, really crazy over this man. The story that I found out a few days ago was that she basically, he broke up with her. She broke into his house. She cut herself. She wrote a letter to him in blood, and then she stole his car. And I think that we're at a time where a lot of people are speaking about relationships a lot, and I think that it's really great that everybody wants to find companionship. I hope that this leads to a lot more marriages, specifically within the Black community, or not, like whatever makes you happy, cool, or just like healthy relationships, I'll say. And I feel like I have hope that it could possibly get there. We'll see. But my thing is with this specific situation is that you should never be in a situation where you are letting anybody, I don't care if it's like your husband, if it's your wife, if it's your mother, if it's your sister, if it's your cousin, you shouldn't let anybody have that much control over you. There's no reason why this man who has all of these kids, maybe he's a B-list rapper, like I don't know. I don't even think he's B-list, but whatever. Have so much control that you would break into this man's house and try to, cut yourself and write a letter. That's like crazy. It gives me, maybe she needs some psychological help. Now, they did share that they shared her pictures and she looked like a really innocent girl. Just because she looks innocent doesn't necessarily mean that she was. I also seen a viral clip of her basically talking about her upbringing, and she was just kind of mentioning that her mom, she went through some things with her mom. I don't really recall exactly what happened, but there was definitely some type of trauma that caused her to be to act out, or whatever the case may be. Now, the girl could fight, so she was fighting. So that's why I think, like, even though they shared those pictures of her and stuff like that, now this might not be the truth, but I don't know, it seemed like everybody she fights, she beat their ass, like bad, like really, really, really bad. And so I'm assuming that she didn't just turn whatever age she is and then all of a sudden she's like Mike Tyson. I'm assuming that, I feel like I can take an educated guess on the fact that, she's been fighting and she's about that lifestyle, period, right? But yeah, she just basically, the whole point of me saying all of this is so that we know that you have to love yourself before you can love anybody else. And you always put yourself before anybody else, because the truth is they're gonna put themselves before you. If Blueface had to choose himself or her in saving that relationship, then you know that he is going to choose himself. So there's no reason why she should be doing all of this crazy nonsense. He also, they were fighting each other. She tried to hit him, but he definitely hit her too, and they fell to the ground. And it just seems like, this is something that probably happens a lot. People compared them to Whitney and Bobby. I don't think that Whitney and Bobby was fist fighting outside though. Obviously, once you would mention Whitney and Bobby, you know that there are possibly some narcotics involved. So I don't know the story. The point is, love yourself, put yourself first. One thing that I've learned, and I continuously learn, and every time I try to be like, no, maybe not, right, is that People are gonna always choose themselves. Now I'm not saying that people are evil for not choosing themselves or for choosing themselves or whatever the case may be, but just know that like 9 times out of 10, most people are gonna put themselves before you. You have to be at a place in your life to be like, yeah, I have to do what's best for me, period. The point is, I think that everybody is on a search, and this has been a thing for a long time, a search looking for someone to love them. And I hate to be on the self-love tour, because even when you do love yourself, right, at the end of the day, most people still don't want to be alone. You can love yourself and still want to be loved. It's just important that when you do fall in love, that you still, that self-love aspect is, yes, I want to be with somebody. Yes, you might be in love with somebody, but you also have to be able to recognize that that person might not be good for you. And there might become a time where it's like, I have to choose myself or this person, and you have to be ready to be like, I'm gonna choose myself, period. And I feel like this entire time, honestly, I've just been on a, how can I make sure that I love myself more, that I make sure that obviously, well, not obviously, but I do want someone to come into my life that can add value to my life and such, but I also want to be able to set that standard for myself. So one thing that I tried to start doing is, I heard an analogy that somebody else said, and they were kind of just like, oh, I'm talking about, they were basically saying that they were expecting so much of the people that come into their lives, like the people that they're dating and stuff, but they realized that they weren't giving themselves that type of love that they were requesting of others. And so she was basically like, I'm gonna start to treat myself like a newborn baby. When it comes to a newborn baby, you wouldn't let the newborn baby starve. You would, if the baby was crying, you would change the baby's diaper, right? You would burp the baby. You would feed the baby. You would burp the baby. You would rock the baby to sleep. You would sing the baby lullabies. You would do everything that you can to make sure that that baby was calm, right? And that's exactly how you need to treat yourself. If you're going through something, be patient with yourself. One thing that I was learning was that I was so freaking hard on myself all the time, having all of these expectations, when in reality, we don't know how short life is possibly, gonna be for specifically us. Yes, and looking from the outside in, I'm relatively young or whatever the case may be, but I still don't know when my last day on earth is going to be. So you want to make sure that you're doing whatever you can to make yourself happy, whatever that looks like to you. I want to make that clear, because I'm like an introvert. I like to be at home. I like my space. I would rather be with one person than be with 50, and a lot of the times that's really criticized for some reason, because I'm a certain age and I don't want to be out there partying, and I don't want to be in a bunch of men's faces, and I don't, whatever the case may be, it's like, oh, okay, I don't know what people think, and I just think that's weird. Everybody is different. Different things make me happy from you. Just because you were basically a crackhead and a whore when you were my age, that doesn't mean that I now have to be that, because that's what you perceive happiness to be. Just want to put that out there. So shout out to the girls. Shout out to the girls that do like to go out and that do like to party. There's nothing wrong with that. Whatever makes you happy. Also, shout out to the girls that do like to stay home and they rather be watching a movie and either with somebody or by yourself, or whatever, again, whatever makes you happy. But yeah, that analogy, back to what I was saying, that analogy of treating yourself like a newborn baby definitely was like a really big eye-opener for me, and it definitely gave me a different perspective for things. And I think ever since I've seen that, I've been a lot more like trying to figure out the things that truly make me happy and trying to provide myself with that, whatever that might be, right? So if that day I made plans, for example, and the day comes and I'm just like, I just am not in the mood. Like I can't, I'm not in the mood. I'm not gonna still go and then be freaking miserable around everybody or trying to pretend like I'm so happy, when in reality, all I wanted to do was lay in my bed and watch a movie, right? All I wanted to do was lay in my bed and finish binge watching the show or whatever the case may be. I'm gonna stay home. I'm gonna do what makes me happy. If I don't know, just like little stuff like that. Little stuff like, at one point in time, I stopped this, and I'll explain why, but at one point in time, I was really like, oh, you know, I really wanted some flowers. I felt like having some fresh flowers would be nice, or whatever the case may be. So I started buying myself flowers. I stopped buying myself flowers because they were attracting flies, and I was like, okay, I'd rather not have flowers and not have flies than have flowers and have flies. But yeah, like little stuff like that, or even just like being really stingy with like money. If I wanted to go out and I really wanted to see people at my thing, I really wanted to save this much, the $40 is not gonna kill me. Go spend the $40. I like having my nails done, and even though I feel like it can really get ridiculous, the last time I went to go get my nails done was $150. Yikes, right? But it's something that I like. It's something that I enjoy. Granted, I work from home. I'm not necessarily in anybody's face all the time, but I like having my feet and my nails done. It makes me feel cute. It makes me feel good. I like having my hair done. It makes me feel good. It makes me feel cute. So yes, those are things that I'm going to make sure are a part of my life. So little things like that. Just being on when I go out to eat, I go to the restaurants I want to go. I get whatever I want on the menu. If I want an appetizer, 5 drinks, a dessert, an entree, whatever I want, I'm gonna get it. Period. And I'm not saying I have all of this money, and I'm not saying I do it every single time, but if it's something that I really want and I've been talking about it and blah, 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 then I'm gonna just do it. Anyway, the point of this video is to encourage everybody to just go on a self-love tour, go on solo dates. Can be intimidating. You don't have to necessarily go outside. You can still enjoy yourself inside if that's something that you're not comfortable with. Even though, what I will say is, and I'm not trying to be one of the dating advice girlies, but you'll probably go outside on a solo date, and you never know who you might meet if you look at somebody. So you went out there with the intention of loving on myself, and I came home with maybe meeting a cool person, maybe a free meal if that's what you're looking for. I mean, I don't know. Make sure you got the money to spend it, just in case nobody does. So that's a good tip. Girl, take yourself out on a date. Treat yourself how you want to be treated. Set that standard so that when somebody comes into your life, they know where they need to be at. Now, don't get me wrong, right? Because I'm still always shocked. I'm like, I carry myself a certain way, and if you can't meet that standard, then why are you trying to come into my life? It's always going to be some bum with the audacity, always. And you know, this is something that I'm still learning, because sometimes I just be like, how do you think that we would ever be in the same like caliber? You're not even talking the same type of look. It's just like nothing. We don't have the same mindset. You're not talking the same type of talk. We don't have the same goals in mind, or similar goals. Not the same, but similar. You know what I mean? Just like you have a very small, and I don't want to be around that. I don't. This is another thing that you have to be aware of, because I recently encountered this again, and this is like my second time of this happening, of you meeting a man. Basically, if you don't want to talk to him, who are you to feel like you shouldn't talk to me for whatever reason? Now, you could just not be talking to him just because you just don't like him, right? Like nothing specifically, you just don't really feel that click or whatever the case may be. But the type of guy that's like, who are you to think that? And then proceeds, right? And this guy was he did it very sneaky. I don't know how to really explain it, but yeah, who are you to feel like you shouldn't, like you can't talk to me because, I mean, who is he? I don't know. And then tries to like put you down because you don't want to talk to him. If you don't want to talk to somebody, you don't want to interact with somebody, I just want to make that very clear that you do not at all have to. And it doesn't matter what this bum ass, I mean, it doesn't matter what this man says. Okay, if you feel like this is not the type of person that you want to interact with, if you feel like this is not the type of person that you want to give your energy to, then that's it, period. It's nothing else to be said. We're not going to discuss it. We're not going to negotiate it. You're not going to try and make me feel like, well, why wouldn't I give you a chance? None of that. I said no, that's it. And I'm not saying don't be open, but I feel like for most women, or at least for me, I know immediately like if I like somebody. There's only been one time where I met somebody and I was like, yikes, you're disgusting, right? Type of situation, because I'm dramatic like that. That's just me. And it ended up being like, okay, he's kind of cool. I still didn't even like him like that, but that only happened to me one time. Usually, if I like somebody, I like them immediately. Or I know that I like them immediately. They might not know that, but I know that I like them immediately. Now, over time, we'll determine how far it goes and where it goes and what type of relationship we have and stuff, but usually immediately. And there is no mind changing that's gonna happen. There is no you trying to bring me down to a certain place to make me feel like, well, you know, I need to be, you know, messing with you. There's no amount of money. The things that you have is not gonna impress me. And you wanna know why? None of that impresses me, because that has nothing to do with me. Until somebody, and I learned this really, really quick, don't be impressed by none of that stuff. A perfect example is when a man has a nice car, right? Is it nice that he has a nice car? Yes. Let's say if you like him, you go to your friends, right? What's the things that you'll tell him? He's this, he's that, I like him, blah, blah, he has a nice car, blah, 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 he has a nice house, blah, blah, blah. At the end of the day, it's cool, right? Whatever, like kudos to you. At the same time, I'm not really benefiting from that. Are you gonna am I driving your car? You have a big house. Do I live in your house? You have all this money. Are you giving me money? If I'm not benefiting directly from whatever you have or whatever the case may be, I'm not impressed. And 9 times out of 10, especially a black man, they want you to work hard for anything that they give you.